Their algorithms had accounted for human muscle density, bone structure, and pain tolerance. The Vexi probability engines had calculated 17,000 combat scenarios, accounting for everything from primitive projectile weapons to hypothetical energy shields. Nowhere in their tactical databases was there an entry for domestic feline stretching on command. Mr. Whiskers extended one paw with the lazy precision of a conquering emperor. A single claw caught the stadium lights as it unsheathed. Across the amphitheater, 57 different threat detection systems flagged this as unknown edged weapon. Deployment. The Draxian bookmakers started twitching so violently their exoskeletal plates rattled. Then, the cat purred. You ever see an entire galactic exchange floor simultaneously regret their life choices? The purr registered as a Class 3 vibrational hazard. 6 species in the audience had primal fear responses hardwired into their DNA for similar frequencies. The Harmonia crystals flatlined for 3 terrifying seconds before displaying a single word: recalculating. Over at the Vexi tactical station, their warmind emitted a sound like grinding gears. Its primary display shifted from human threat assessment to feline containment protocols. Somewhere in its databanks, it found an ancient file labeled Earth. Housecat, originally classified under harmless companion species. The file's modification date updated itself in real time as the AI watched Mr. Whiskers blink at Thraxon with the detached interest of a mathematician, considering an unsatisfactory equation. A Greebly analyst later admitted they'd assumed domesticated meant broken. Their species had spent millennia taming their own apex predators through shock, collars, and neural inhibitors. Seeing an untethered killing machine voluntarily curl into a child's lap rewrote their entire behavioral science matrix. The odds display shifted from 500 to 1 against Earth to a flashing "seek clarification." Then Dr. Kane dropped his datapad. The clatter echoed like a gavel strike. All eyes snapped to the human scientist as he adjusted his glasses with the weary air of someone who'd explained this too many times. His translator pinged the amphitheater's sound system with bone-dry precision. For the record, Felis catus is what we call an obligate carnivore. They hunt for entertainment. Their play behavior mimics homicide techniques. That, he pointed at Mr. Whiskers draping over Emma's arm, is a scaled-down version of how tigers suffocate prey 3 times their size. The Harmonia crystals shattered, literally. 3 crystalline matrices exploded under the sudden influx of frantic wager revisions. Bookmakers started clawing at their terminals trying to cancel bets. The Vexi warmind quietly purged its entire Earth fauna threat tiers file and started compiling a new one titled Animals That Let Humans Live With Them and Why That's Terrifying. Across the chamber, Thraxon's combat subprocessors were having their own crisis. His armor's threat detection kept flipping between non-combatant and lethal predator every time Mr. Whiskers changed posture. The system had no protocol for something that could transition from flopped-over relaxation to hunter's crouch in 0.3 seconds. His tactical display helpfully suggested, recommendation, do not startle. Emma, blissfully unaware of the financial maelstrom around her, scratched under Mr. Whiskers' chin. The resulting purr vibrated at exactly 56.8 hertz, a frequency known to trigger panic responses in 9 council species. The Draxian Bookkeeping Guild later voted unanimously to classify this as an act of economic warfare. The final nail in the coffin came when Mr. Whiskers licked his paw. To the untrained eye, this was basic grooming. To the galaxy's assembled tacticians, it was a masterclass in maintaining razor-sharp biological weapons between meals. The Greebly wagering terminals finally displayed what everyone was thinking. Ecological misappraisal detected. Dr. Kane sighed again. They kill billions of birds and small mammals every year, he said conversationally, mostly for sport. The Harmonia crystal fragments on the floor started vibrating again, this time in what everyone agreed was sheer horror. Somewhere in the crowd, a Vexi clerk whispered, "They keep these things inside their homes?" No one answered. The answer was too terrible to contemplate. Mr. Whiskers yawned again, flashing perfect white teeth designed by evolution to sever carotid arteries. The betting displays that hadn't shattered outright now simply showed a spinning hourglass icon, the universal sign for "We give up." Emma shifted her grip, murmuring something about dinner time soon. Across 300 light-years of linked financial networks, automated trading algorithms began shorting every stock related to rodent control. Dr. Kane didn't even raise his voice. That was the terrifying part. He pushed his glasses up his nose with one finger and said, "Technically, you're looking at Earth's most successful predator," like he was explaining a mildly interesting weather pattern. The amphitheater's acoustics carried his every word with cruel clarity, bypassing 300 simultaneous translation feeds. You ever watch an entire civilization recalibrate its threat assessment in real time? The Vexy delegates stiffened first. Their neural clusters lit up like alarm systems. Then the Kral Empire's warlords instinctively reached for weapons they weren't carrying. Protocol forbade arms during council sessions. Thraxon's armor emitted a low-frequency hum as its combat subroutines crashed mid-cycle. Domestication is a misleading term, Kane continued. He had that tone human scientists get when explaining something obvious to very slow children. Felis catus co-evolved with Homo sapiens. We didn't tame them. They domesticated us. The universal translator struggled with that last part. Several alien languages rendered domesticated as enslaved without resistance. Mr. Whiskers chose that moment to groom his whiskers. The delicate motion drew every eye in the chamber. You could hear the Draxian biologists' exoskeletons clicking as they shuddered. Their species had spent millennia eradicating anything with retractable claws. Kane tapped his datapad. Footage flashed across the arena screens. Security cam footage of a house cat dismantling an automated defense drone. Thermal imaging of feline night hunts. Slow-motion captures of paws moving faster than most species could process visually. Obligate carnivores, he said, emphasizing each syllable. The words landed like plasma warheads in the silent chamber. Their digestive system can't process plants. Meat isn't optional. It's mandatory. Thraxon's armor audibly creaked as he took an involuntary step back. His trophy room contained skulls from 47 apex predators across 12 systems. None had merited that clinical bone-dry delivery. Then Kane dropped the real bomb. They kill approximately 20 billion small vertebrates annually on Earth alone. Mostly for practice. The translator struggled again. Several dialects interpreted practice as religious sacrament. The amphitheater's ambient noise suppression failed completely. Gasps, clicks, and at least one organic alarm siren echoed off the obsidian walls. A Greebly auditor fainted into its neighbor's feeding appendages. House cats maintain infantile features into adulthood. Kane continued, relentless. Big eyes, rounded faces. Humans instinctively nurture these traits. It's why you all thought pet meant harmless. He gestured at Mr. Whiskers, now batting lazily at Emma's shoelace. That's not a pet. That's a perfect hunting machine wearing a disguise. High above, the holographic odds displays flickered erratically. The Draxian bookmakers were hastily rewriting every algorithm. Their revised projections drew heavily on words like asymmetrical warfare and evolutionary ambush. Thraxon's tactical feed finally rebooted. It immediately highlighted Mr. Whiskers' shoulder blades, specifically how they moved with fluid, unconstrained precision no battle armor could replicate. Analysis biomechanical perfection flashed across his retinal display. The suggested response? Do not provoke. Then Emma giggled. The sound cut through the tension like a laser through wet paper. Mr. Whiskers had rolled onto his back, presenting his belly to the room with the serene confidence of something that knows it's the deadliest organism in the quadrant. See? Kane said, almost smiling now. That's how they get you. The Kral Empire's lead warlord made a noise like a failing reactor. His species had conquered 11 systems through orbital bombardment. They had no frame of reference for how to handle a predator that weaponized cuteness. Deep in the data archives, the Council's central AI was quietly replacing its companion species category with a new folder, Apex Predators with Excellent PR. The subfolders included facial disarmament tactics and strategic vulnerability feints. Mr. Whiskers stretched again, his claws unsheathed with the lazy precision of century-old dueling pistols. Across the amphitheater, betting slips continued to flutter downward like surrender flags. Kane adjusted his glasses one last time. Oh, he added as if it were an afterthought. They also purr at the same frequency as injured prey animals. Helps disguise their approach. The Greebly auditors started weeping openly. Their entire economic model had just collapsed under the weight of evolutionary psychology they couldn't process. On the arena floor, Emma scratched Mr. Whisker's chin. His purr resonated through the chamber's acoustics, hitting exactly the frequency that triggered panic responses in 6 council species. The soundproofing dampeners overloaded trying to compensate. Thraxon's armor finally did something it had never done in 700 battles. It initiated automatic retreat protocols. The system wasn't designed to handle something that looked soft, but came with an asterisk reading terms and conditions of murder apply. Kane pocketed his datapad. The screens froze on a slow-motion playback of a house cat mid-pounce. Every muscle coiled with silent lethality. Funny thing, he mused. Humans never conquered Earth, we just moved in when the cats allowed it. The betting terminals didn't explode this time. They just displayed a single line of text. Earth Mammalian Studies course recommended before further wagers. Thraxon's battle cry hit its crescendo just as Mr. Whiskers opened his jaws in a leisurely yawn. The contrast couldn't have been more devastating. 8 feet of armored warlord versus 4 pounds of feline indifference. That pink mouth stretched just wide enough to showcase dental weaponry evolved over millions of years. The teeth weren't even fully displayed. They didn't need to be. Every species in the chamber recognized that yawn on a primal level. The Draxians saw it mirrored in their sand panthers before they struck. The Greebly witnessed it in juvenile tunnel dwellers playing with their food. Even the hive mind delegates received sudden flashbacks from assimilated predators across 7-star systems. Mr. Whisker's nonchalance wasn't weakness. It was the luxury of something that knows it can end you at leisure. Then came the stretch. Shoulder blades rippled under orange fur with engineering no battle armor could replicate. Claws extended one at a time, each retracting slower than a plasma blade powering down. The obsidian floor registered microfractures where they'd touched. Biomechanical scanners across the arena started compiling reports titled things like Perfect Kinetic Efficiency and Energy Conservation Model. Hive-mind tactical feeds lit up with distress signals. 3 assimilated warrior species suddenly remembered ancestral nightmares about small, fast things that bite. Their collective intelligence took 0.2 seconds to classify house cats as ambush predators, evolutionary grade A+, before issuing colony-wide retreat advisories. Up in the strategist's gallery, Vexy analysts were having their own crisis. Their scanning equipment kept insisting Mr. Whisker's stretch was a low-energy reconstitution maneuver. The problem was their own historical archives. The same motion appeared in footage of Earth lions preparing to hunt. One junior officer kept muttering, "It shouldn't be anatomically possible," as his terminal compared feline and Vexy warrior skeletons side by side. Thraxon's armor didn't help. His threat assessment system locked onto Mr. Whiskers' spine flexibility, or more precisely, how it resembled the deadliest close combat fighters from 12 different worlds. When the cat arched his back, 3 separate combat subroutines recommended immediate disengagement. The Beast Lord found himself hesitating for the first time in 400 battles. Emma didn't notice. She was adjusting Mr. Whisker's collar like this was completely normal. The little bell jingled. Across the chamber, the sound registered as non-lethal auditory distraction on 17 different threat matrices. The Crawl Warlord's facial plates actually twitched. His people had lost entire campaigns to less sophisticated deception tactics. Then Mr. Whiskers blinked. Slow. Deliberate. The kind of blink that says, "I could kill you, but I can't be bothered right now." Holographic displays froze mid-analysis. Every species in the galaxy has some version of that gesture, usually from something that considers you beneath its notice. The Draxian bookmakers started shredding wager tickets with grasping appendages. Dr. Kane cleared his throat. "That's called a cat kiss," he offered. The universal translator made it sound far more ominous than intended. Several delegates recoiled. Their species didn't have traditions of predators displaying affection right before murdering things. The concept broke multiple cultural frameworks simultaneously. The betting terminals recovered enough to flash one final absurdity. Earth odds recategorized as ambush scenario. Below it, previously stable numbers for Thraxon's victory began falling like stones. No algorithm could process a combatant that shifted from napping to lethal readiness faster than energy shields could activate. Mr. Whiskers settled back into Emma's arms, tail flicking lazily. The motion sent ripples through the Greebly delegation. Their planet's apex predators signaled imminent strikes with identical tells. Their lead negotiator started emitting distress pheromones that smelled like burnt almonds and existential dread. On the amphitheater floor, Thraxon's armor finally rebooted its tactical systems. The new analysis appeared across his retinal display in stark white text. Combatant status relaxed. Threat multiplier X3. Suggested engagement protocols. None available. Subroutine recommendation. Offer tribute. Emma scratched behind Mr. Whisker's ears. The resulting purr resonated at exactly 56 hertz, a frequency known to trigger ancient predator warnings in 9 council species. Sound dampeners overloaded trying to compensate. High above, the holographic displays that weren't outright frozen kept replaying that yawn in slow motion. Tactical AIs across the galaxy would spend cycles analyzing it. Military academies added entirely new coursework. The Draxians later admitted they'd lost 3 entire betting pools just calculating how something could look so harmless while broadcasting such lethal potential. Mr. Whiskers closed his eyes. The amphitheater's collective sigh of relief could have powered a small star. Then one paw flexed, claws catching the light again. And everyone remembered this was just intermission. Emma's voice cut through the silence like a laser through smoke. Mr. Whiskers caught 3 mice last week, she announced, scratching behind his ears with the pride of a general listing battle honors. The universal translator struggled. 7 dialects interpreted caught as neutralized. 12 more opted for terminated with extreme prejudice. The chamber froze. You could hear the Greebly bookmaker's neural clusters overheating. 3 mice. 3. Not an estimate, not a range. A precise tally delivered with the chilling specificity of an after-action report. Tactical displays across the arena lit up with comparisons. 3 mice equaled 3 crawl shock troopers in biomass. 3 Greebly sentry drones in maneuverability. 3 Vexy scout probes in evasive potential. Mr. Whiskers blinked at Thraxon, pupils contracting to predatory slits. 14 different species military advisors later admitted they'd instinctively reached for sidearms at that moment. The unblinking stare triggered ancient prey responses in delegates from predator and prey species alike. Draxian archives confirmed their sand panthers used identical ocular tactics before lunging for the throat. Emma kept talking like she hadn't just redefined galactic warfare. He put them on the porch, she added, swinging her legs. The translator rendered porch as trophy display area. Thraxon's armor registered a minor power fluctuation at the implication. His own battle rituals involved mounting skulls on plasma pikes. The concept of casual corpse presentation was somehow more disturbing. Dr. Kane sighed like a man who'd explained this too many times. House cats don't always eat what they kill, he said. Sometimes they just leave gifts. The universal translator choked on the last word. Multiple languages substituted offerings to their bipedal overlords. The crawl delegations, exoskeletal plates rattled. Their species had wiped out 3 civilizations. Overperceived tribute slights. Holographic displays started replaying Earth security footage. Tabbies depositing mangled sparrows on doorsteps. Tuxedo cats dropping half-dead lizards at bare human feet. The amphitheater's acoustics carried the wet thump of each tiny corpse hitting concrete with unsettling clarity. Military analysts from predator species found themselves unconsciously calculating pounce vectors. Prey species delegates suppressed the urge to bolt. Emma reached into her backpack. Every targeting system in the chamber locked onto the motion. She pulled out a flimsy plastic rectangle. I made a chart, she said, holding up a laminated star sticker reward tracker. The Draxian tactical AI immediately classified it as a kill count infographic. Their lead strategist later admitted to losing 3 sleep cycles over why Earthlings tracked assassinations with gold stars. Mr. Whiskers suddenly went statue still. That perfect unnatural freeze every hunter recognizes, the moment before the strike. Biometric scanners went berserk, trying to reconcile his steady heart rate with the lethal tension coiled in his frame. Thraxon's combat subroutines flagged it as a pre-execution posture, found in elite assassins across 7 systems. Then came the tail twitch. Across the galaxy, similar motions signal imminent attack in everything from Draxian sand swimmers to crawl tunnel stalkers. The amphitheater's hazard lights flickered on reflex. The Greebly betting commissioner fainted into his assistant's gas sacks. Emma yawned. He's better at birds, she mused, examining her sticker chart. The universal translator helpfully converted this to demonstrates increased lethality against aerial targets. 3 avian species delegates spontaneously fluffed their feathers in distress. Mr. Whiskers' stare never left Thraxon. The Beast Lord's armor began running comparisons between feline and Draxian kill ratios. The results weren't flattering. His trophy room's finest moments couldn't compete with the casual efficiency of something that treated genocide as a hobby. High above, the betting pools updated again. New category: precision hunting small game. Odds swung so violently the Harmonia crystals cracked under the strain. The Draxian bookmakers started frantically canceling all wagers involving rodent analogies. Dr. Kane cleared his throat. For scale, he said, Earth's wild felines kill about 20 billion small creatures annually. He paused. The domesticated ones might exceed that. The translator spit out 20 different versions of annual cull rate before giving up. Thraxon's tactical display kept flashing. Comparative analysis unfavorable. Every time Mr. Whiskers twitched an ear, Emma added another gold star to her chart. The sticker's adhesive made a happy screech as she smoothed it down. In the silence, someone's digestive system emitted a distress signal. No one laughed. After today, the galaxy would never hear the word mice the same way again. Every warlord knows the moment. That split second when the hunter becomes the hunted. For Thraxon, it came when Mr. Whiskers started purring. Not the gentle hum of contentment. This was the low, steady vibration of a predator utterly at ease in its dominance. The kind of purr that says, I could end you any time, but you're not worth the effort right now. The sound waves hit Thraxon's armor first. His tactical sensors lit up with conflict warnings. The 56 Hz frequency matched the resonant pitch of Vexy battle plating. A coincidence, surely, but when the purr made his chest plate vibrate just enough to trigger stability alerts, even his onboard AI hesitated. 700 battles across 12 systems, and never once had his armor suggested retreat based on ambient noise. Mr. Whiskers blinked up at him. Those pupils dilated suddenly, black pools swallowing amber. Every species in the chamber recognized that look, the moment when predators stop assessing and start hunting. Thraxon had seen it in the eyes of gladiators before killing blows. His armor's threat analyzers went berserk trying to classify a creature that could switch from lethargy to lethal intent faster than plasma capacitors charged. Emma shifted her grip, scratching behind the cat's ears. He likes you, she said. The universal translator rendered this as, the death beast acknowledges your existence positively. Thraxon's combat subsystems helpfully displayed. Comparable phrasing from 27 other cultures, all variations on you may continue living for now. The purr deepened. Greebly tacticians later calculated it replicated the exact vibration pattern their neural clusters used during trauma recall. The Draxians recognized it as identical to their sand tiger's pre-strike tell. Neither species had breathing apparatuses, but several delegates developed sudden respiration issues anyway. Then Mr. Whiskers stretched again. One paw extended towards Thraxon, claws glinting in the arena lights. Not fully unsheathed, just enough to remind everyone they existed. The motion lasted precisely 1.3 seconds. Military analysts would study it for cycles as the perfect demonstration of restrained threat projection. Thraxon's armor registered the movement as a probing strike simulation and suggested raising energy shields. Too bad council protocols forbade active defenses during trials. Dr. Kane coughed into his fist. Interesting fact, he said, pushing his glasses up. A cat's purr promotes bone density regeneration in humans. The universal translator butchered the technical terms. Multiple species heard biological entropy resistance through sonic submission. Their archives would later classify it as an evolutionary arms race humans somehow won by, getting healthier through proximity to murder. Machines. Thraxon's tactical feed finally crashed. The last message flickering across his retinal display read, engagement parameters insufficient. His armor's normally assertive combat voice sounded almost apologetic. Recommendation: non-hostile posture. The suggested subroutines included display unarmed status and, more disturbingly, offer ventral exposure, a gesture his culture reserved for accepting execution. Meanwhile, Mr. Whiskers rolled onto his back in Emma's arms. That soft, furry belly exposed like it wasn't armored with muscle evolved to absorb kicks from animals 3 times his size. The purr never faltered. Greebly bookmakers later admitted this broke their threat assessment matrices completely. No known predator showed weakness while maintaining acoustic dominance. Emma took the opportunity to scratch his stomach. The purr hit a new frequency that made Thraxon's auditory sensors ping with structural integrity warnings. His armor's last functional display lit up with tactical rethink advised, before shorting out completely. Across the chamber, the Draxians were having their own crisis. Their tactical AI kept replaying footage of house cats flipping from vulnerable belly-up positions to predator stance in 0.08 seconds. The military applications terrified them. Their lead strategist started emitting distress pheromones that smelled like molten metal and bad life choices. High above, the betting terminals displayed their final verdict, Earth's chance of victory now at 98.7%. The explanatory footnote simply read, "Dominance through stochastic terror." Historians would debate whether this referred to the cat's hunting style or his effect on galactic politics. Dr. Kane adjusted his data pad. "Oh," he added casually, "they also purr when injured. Self-healing mechanism." The Universal Translator converted this to Biological Battlefield Regeneration Protocol in 13 warrior languages simultaneously. Thraxon's weapons locker back on his flagship spontaneously deployed all its safeties. Mr. Whiskers finally closed his eyes. The purr continued. The sound propagated through the chamber's acoustics with eerie precision, finding and exploiting every resonator frequency and alien battle armor across the amphitheater. The Draxian strategist later likened it to having your own skeleton used against you. Emma yawned. "Can we go soon?" she asked, checking the time on her plastic wristwatch. "He gets cranky if dinner's late." The watch's minute hand ticked. In the silence, it sounded like a countdown. Thraxon had 700 confirmed kills. He'd conquered 12 systems. But standing there listening to that relentless purr, facing a creature that weaponized affection and turned naps into tactical advantages, he did something unprecedented. His armor's emergency protocols logged it as voluntary combat disengagement. Everyone else recognized it for what it was. The Beast Lord of the Zalthar Concordance took one long step backward, then bowed. Now, Emma scratching Mr. Whiskers' chin shouldn't have rewritten galactic politics, but history's funny like that. The moment her fingers made contact, 300 species dominance hierarchies spontaneously combusted. The Greeblian delegation actually short-circuited their pheromone synthesizers, trying to process a predator voluntarily accepting touch. Their neural clusters kept looping the same question. Why would a creature built for murder tolerate grooming from something defenseless? The answer, of course, was worse than they imagined. Mr. Whiskers leaned into the scratches with the smug assurance of a conqueror collecting tribute. His purr reverberated through the chamber at exactly 56 Hz, a frequency multiple warrior species used for subsonic threat displays. Thraxon's armor registered it as a tactile dominance affirmation, while simultaneously suggesting he reconsider his life choices. Dr. Kane observed dryly, "They've been conditioning humans to serve them for 9,000 years." The Universal Translator rendered conditioning as biological, enslavement via cuteness protocols. Several delegates instinctively checked their own limbs for involuntary petting reflexes. Then Emma went for the belly. The chamber inhaled as one. Every culture recognizes stomach exposure as vulnerability, except Earth's house cats, who treat it like a loyalty test. Mr. Whiskers' claws extended halfway when Emma's fingers brushed his fur, then retracted with the lazy precision of a monarch pardoning a peasant. The Draxian strategist later compared it to watching someone casually deactivate a plasma mine with their bare hands. Thraxon's tactical feed finally rebooted with a startling recommendation. Observe human-feline interface protocols. His armor's normally assertive combat AI now displayed diagrams of proper chin-scratching angles. The secondary screen suggested voluntary ventral exposure training with disturbing enthusiasm. High above, the betting terminals shifted focus entirely. New categories appeared: affection as power play and strategic vulnerability acceptance. The odds makers clearly didn't understand what was happening, but they recognized a paradigm shift when they saw one. One particularly desperate Greeblian bookmaker started taking wagers on how many belly rubs it would take to end the trial. Emma, Oblivious rubbed circles into orange fur. Mr. Whiskers's purr deepened, resonating through the amphitheater's metal framework with eerie precision. Structural analysis later revealed the vibration frequency matched the natural resonance of Vexy battle armor. Purely coincidental, but enough to make 3 armored delegates check their integrity seals. The Crawl Empire's warlord began dictating notes to his adjutant. "Study these belly rubs," and he muttered. "If humanity pacifies apex predators this easily, we need countermeasures." His tactical AI helpfully suggested developing opposable thumbs as a starting point. Meanwhile, Mr. Whiskers rolled onto his side, presenting half-lidded eyes that tracked Thraxon with lazy menace. His tail flicked once, the universal feline gesture for "I allow this." Military analysts later calculated the tail's arc matched the optimal striking trajectory of a Draxian plasma whip. The comparison made several dignitaries unconsciously shield their throats. Dr. Kane cleared his throat. "Interesting side note," he said. "Cats often groom those they consider subordinates." The universal translator butchered the context. Half the chamber heard ritual marking of territorial holdings. The other half understood biological allegiance enforcement. Neither interpretation comforted anyone. Emma yawned. "Can we get snacks after this?" she asked, fingers still working behind Mr. Whisker's ears. The universal translator struggled with snacks, eventually settling on post-dominance ritual nutrition. Several delegates' digestive systems audibly clenched. Then the unthinkable happened. Thraxon, beast lord of the Zalthar Concordance, conqueror of 12 systems, lowered himself onto one knee. His armor hissed as emergency protocols protested the vulnerability. Slowly, with the caution of someone disarming an explosive, he extended a gauntlet toward Mr. Whiskers. The cat sniffed. Then, with the magnanimity of a king accepting surrender, he bumped his head against cold metal. Thraxon's armor registered the contact as a non-lethal dominance affirmation and immediately uploaded the sensor data to the galactic net. Within minutes, 17 military AIs were analyzing the pressure patterns as a template for diplomatic engagement. High above, the betting terminals finally flatlined. The last message read, "Earth wins via interspecies cooperation." The fine print added, "Also belly rubs." Emma kept petting. Mr. Whiskers kept purring. And somewhere in the crowd, the Greebly ambassador started frantically researching Earth's other domesticated species. The files on dogs and pet rocks would keep him awake for weeks. The amphitheater's archival systems later logged the event as first contact via voluntary submission. The security footage showed Thraxon hesitantly, attempting his first chin scratch under Emma's guidance. His combat AI registered it as the most successful diplomatic maneuver of his career. Behind them, the Crawl warlord was already sketching designs for a battle helmet with built-in scritching appendages. His notes read, "If you can't beat them, join their grooming collective." The fastest vote in Galactic Council history clocked in at 4 minutes and 17 seconds. Not for a weapons ban, not for a trade agreement. For accepting Earth's membership application. The secretaries barely had time to activate the voting crystals before the results lit up the chamber. Unanimous approval. You'd think after watching a child and her cat dismantle 7,000 years of combat doctrine, they'd at least debate for appearance's sake. But the Greebly ambassador summed it up best when his neural cluster spontaneously transmitted. "Any species that domesticates genocide machines deserves a seat at the table." His aide tried to recall the message, but by then 3 other delegates had already hit approve. The official record sites demonstrated symbiotic superiority as the rationale. Translation: Humans made apex predators enjoy belly rubs, and that scared the universe more than any fleet. Behind closed doors, council members admitted the real reason. That unshakable image of Emma feeding Mr. Whiskers a treat while Thraxon's armor was still rebooting from its tactical meltdown. Vexy analysts later calculated the council spent longer deliberating beverage service protocols than Earth's membership. Their historical archives marked it as the first time a civilization gained full rights by making everyone else question their own military doctrines. The voting crystals actually cracked under the speed of consensus. Normally, they're calibrated for weeks of bureaucratic waffling. Thraxon abstained, not out of protest, but because his armor was still running diagnostics on the cat's purr resonance. His tactical feed kept replaying that moment when Mr. Whiskers blinked at him slowly, the universal feline sign for "I allow you to exist." The after-action report famously redacted his armor's final recommendation: strategy update, acquire treats. Across the chamber, delegates weren't even pretending to review Earth's paperwork. The Kral warlord just kept staring at his gauntlet where the cat had headbutted him. His cultural attaché later admitted they'd spent cycles debating whether it was a blessing or a threat. Their eventual conclusion: yes. Meanwhile, Emma was rummaging in her backpack for more snacks. The universal translator turned fruit gummies into tribute offerings in 17 languages. When she offered one to the Draxian secretary, their entire delegation flinched like she'd brandished a plasma grenade. Their species had written the galaxy's most comprehensive, edible gift warfare protocols, but nothing covered rainbow-colored gelatin as a diplomatic tool. The voting display didn't bother with percentages. Just a single flashing glyph everyone understood: overwhelming accord. The Harmonia crystals, normally used to tally battleship deployments, recorded the result as emergency cultural surrender. Behind the scenes, clerks scrambled to retrofit the official documents with paw print signature fields. Dr. Kane accepted the membership plaque with one hand while scratching Mr. Whiskers with the other. The image went viral across 12 systems within minutes. Greebly social feeds dubbed it the 2-minute warning, referencing their ancient belief that true dominance requires no visible effort. Ironically, Earth's ambassador slept through the ceremony. Mr. Whiskers had curled up in the delegation's chair and nobody dared disturb him. The council simply worked around the napping feline, their hover pads adjusting trajectories like asteroids avoiding a small, fuzzy gravity well. By the time Emma finished her juice box, the galactic news networks were already airing footage of Thraxan practicing chin scratches on a holographic cat. His armor's manual override logs showed 17 failed attempts before the system suggested technique improvement, less pressure. Military historians consider this the first recorded instance of a conqueror downloading pet care. Instructions mid-session, the official welcome banquet featured Earth's other great diplomatic innovation, tuna, pate. Delegates initially mistook it for a bioweapon until Mr. Whiskers demonstrated proper consumption protocol. 3 species immediately petitioned for trade agreements. As the session adjourned, security feeds captured the Draxian strategist staring at his reflection in the polished obsidian floor. His mandibles moved silently, forming words later identified through lip-reading protocols. "We spent millennia mastering orbital bombardment." They weaponized a 10-year-old's lunchbox. The council clerks waved through 17 pending resolutions in under an hour, mostly about standardizing petting angles and acceptable treat offerings. The last vote of the day? Renaming the main amphitheater's diplomatic wing the Scritch Zone. Emma yawned through the closing formalities. Her watch beeped dinner time. As she carried Mr. Whiskers out, 700 hardened warriors from 40 species instinctively made the same mental note. Never, ever let Earth's apex predators go hungry. You ever see a conqueror have a full existential crisis over a house cat? Thraxan stood in his trophy room, the same one that had impressed diplomats from 12 systems, and suddenly saw it differently. The mounted heads of void stalkers seemed less impressive when compared to a creature that killed for fun and let children rub its belly. His battle claws, honed to molecular precision, looked excessive next to retractable tools that required zero maintenance. His military AI wasn't helping. For 17 cycles straight, it had been replaying Mr. Whiskers' stretch in slow motion. Analyses scrolled across his retinal display: perfect energy conservation, optimal muscle deployment, sleep-wake efficiency, 98.7%. The tactical feed kept comparing feline flexibility to elite warrior conditioning regimens. Thraxan had burned entire planets for lesser insults than those side-by-side comparison charts. Then came the real blow. His AI pinged with a new recommendation: tactical doctrine update, non-lethal dominance. The suggested reading list included the strategic value of purring and belly exposure as power move. His command staff received automated orders to research scratching post designs. 3 veteran war captains resigned on the spot rather than study proper ear-scritching angles. The after-action report made things worse. Normally, these documents detailed enemy casualties and territory gains. This one devoted 14 pages to Mr. Whisker's yawn dynamics. Diagrams showed optimal purr frequencies for intimidating different species. An entire appendix explained why the cat's slow blink qualified as psychological warfare. Fraxon's signature, normally scorched into reports with plasma stylus, looked shaky next to the AI's excited footnote. Recommend immediate acquisition of Earth kittens. His trophy room's audio logs told the story. Formerly epic boast reels about crushing rebellions now played alongside a new recording. And then the small furry conqueror demonstrated lethal potential before accepting snack offerings. The AI helpfully looped the sound of Mr. Whiskers purring at 56 at a frequency that made 3 of his war. Banners vibrate off the walls. Fraxon tried to restore dignity by reviewing battle plans. His holographic display had other ideas. The strategic AI kept superimposing orange fur patterns over troop deployments. One particularly insubordinate subroutine labeled his flagship's attack formation inefficient compared to feline hunting stock. When he ordered a system reset, it rebooted displaying a single message. Have you considered more naps? The final humiliation came during arms inspection. His ceremonial plasma axe, passed down through generations of conquerors, failed diagnostics. The weapons AI cited suboptimal energy-to-lethality ratio compared to house cat claws. Maintenance drones suggested retractable modifications and possibly adding a purr function. 3 armorers requested transfers to Earth's Pet Supply Division. Back in his quarters, Fraxon stared at his reflection in polished battle plate. The same face that had terrified systems now practiced slow blinks like some backwater monk. His voice, once known for booming declarations, carefully replicated the exact pitch Emma had used to say, "Good kitty." The armor's vanity lights automatically adjusted to flatter his new, quieter demeanor. That's when the shipment arrived. 6 crates labeled Diplomatic Relations Starter Kit. Inside, assorted cat toys, an illustrated guide to feline body language, and 1 slightly used laser pointer. The attached note read, "From Earth Ambassador's Office for Preventing Interstellar Incidents." His weapons locker rejected its own contents when he tried storing them there, suggesting the items be placed somewhere more accessible for quick de-escalation. Fraxon's personal logs tell the story best. The entry following the council meeting simply reads, "Conquered 12 systems, outmaneuvered by 6 pounds of fluff." Subsequent entries detail increasingly desperate attempts to reconcile his warrior culture with the concept of mutually assured scritches. 8 cycles later, surveillance footage shows him attempting to negotiate with Greebly raiders using recorded purrs. The resulting ceasefire, brokered with tuna treats, lasted longer than any treaty in his former conquests. His battle standard now flies beside a smaller banner featuring a squiggly red thread pattern. The real kicker, his military AI recently upgraded Mr. Whiskers to honorary fleet commander. Tactical briefings now include probable feline reactions as a standard strategic factor. When questioned about this, Fraxon just sighs and adjusts the new scratching post installed beside his command throne. The seat itself has recently been modified to accommodate small furry visitors. Historians will debate whether this constitutes surrender or evolution. But as Fraxon himself admitted during that infamous press conference, true power isn't making others fear you, it's making death machines adore you. Then, he ducked to avoid the plush mouse. Someone had thrown in agreement. Historians still argue whether the red dot demonstration constituted first contact protocols or tactical warfare. When Dr. Kane pulled the laser pointer from his pocket, 14 species delegates weren't prepared for the consequences. The harmless Earth gadget emitted a focused beam at 650 nanometers, completely invisible to 7 council members' visual spectra, yet somehow irresistible to all. Security footage shows the initial moment clearly, a small red dot appearing on the obsidian floor near Thraxon's armored foot. Mr. Whisker's pupils dilated instantly. The cat's focus sharpened with the same intensity warships devote to target locks. Every delegate leaned forward despite themselves. Then the dot moved. What happened next wasn't diplomacy. It was hardwired instinct overriding centuries of civilization. The Greebly ambassador lunged first, his neural clusters firing ancient hunting protocols before higher reasoning could intervene. 3 crawl warlords followed, exoskeletal plates clattering as they abandoned dignity for the chase. Even the gelatinous Gelantians surged forward, pseudopods outstretched. The universal translator later interpreted their collective noises as some variation of, "must catch the shiny." Dr. Kane kept moving the dot. The assembled might of galactic civilization scrambled after it like hatchlings chasing their first meal. Thraxon's armor logged the event as coordinated tactical maneuvers, while desperately attempting to justify why he'd nearly tripped over a Draxian bureaucrat. His internal sensors recorded muscle movements identical to his ancestors' primeval pounce reflexes, patterns he'd supposedly transcended through cybernetic enhancement. The resulting interspecies play treaty remains the galaxy's most violated and most rigorously enforced accord. Officially titled Protocols Regarding Mobile Light-Based Stimuli, its fine print includes provisions like no dot stealing during diplomatic summits and defensive alliances null if dot appears. The Vexi initially protested these terms, until footage surfaced of 3 admirals coordinating fleet movements to corner a reflection. Emma found the whole thing hilarious. While scholars debated whether the pointer qualified as a cultural exchange tool or psychological weapon, she demonstrated its secondary function, drawing smiley faces on the floor. The Gelantians mistook these for sacred runes. Their high priest spent 7 cycles attempting to commune with what was essentially a wobbly circle with eyes. Mr. Whiskers, ever the pragmatist, quickly lost interest once he determined the dot couldn't be disemboweled. His disdain sparked another theological crisis when multiple species interpreted his indifference as advanced spiritual discipline. The Draxian Military Academy now teaches an entire course on feline non-attachment as strategic doctrine. Of course, problems emerged. The Krull Empire briefly weaponized the technology, until they realized their soldiers would abandon posts to chase projector beams. The Greebly stock market crashed when traders became distracted by rogue dots on financial displays. One particularly unfortunate incident involved a Vexi dreadnought's navigation system reflecting sunlight in a dot-like pattern across its bridge. The crew's resulting frenzy led to history's first peaceful surrender via mass pouncing. The pointer's true power became apparent during trade negotiations. Stalemates broke instantly when someone aimed the dot at neutral territory. Formerly intractable debates over resource allocations resolved themselves organically, as delegates subconsciously followed the light's path. The Galactic Council chamber's floor now bears permanent scratch marks from 17 different species' claws. Science still struggles to explain the phenomenon. The leading theory suggests the dot taps into universal predator-prey dynamics, bypassing higher cognition entirely. Dr. Kane's attempts to explain behavior only deepened the mystery, especially when security footage caught him, using it to lure Thraxon away from a tense negotiation. Oddly, the only species immune to the effect are humans themselves. This fact terrifies everyone else more than any fleet mobilization ever could. The universal translator still can't quite convey the concept of not falling for obvious tricks, leaving most delegates convinced Earthlings possess supernatural self-control. Today, every ambassador's toolkit includes 2 items, a ceremonial plasma staff and a standard-issue red laser pointer. Protocol dictates the latter remains sheathed during formal proceedings, though everyone knows it's the real power behind the throne. The Treaty Enforcement Bureau maintains a special task force just to investigate illegal dot deployments. Emma, naturally, sees none of the geopolitical implications. To her, it's just what you use to play with cats. The Council remains divided on whether this simplicity constitutes profound wisdom or terrifying ignorance. The ultimate irony? Humanity's most effective peacekeeping tool costs less than 3 credits to manufacture. The Draxian bookkeepers wept when they realized entire wars could have been prevented with pocket-sized light projectors. Their economic recovery plan now includes mandatory playtime breaks during high-stakes negotiations. As for Mr. Whiskers, he eventually got bored and took a nap. Historians agree this was the most devastating power move of all. The moment Mr. Whiskers curled up for his nap, 17 military AIs classified it as a tactical maneuver. Not because feline sleeps are particularly strategic, but because the entire Galactic Council froze rather than risk waking him. That's the thing about predators who nap in enemy territory. It's not exhaustion. It's a statement. The Draxian tacticians were first to analyze the positioning. That perfect circle of orange fur, the way one paw draped over his nose like it wasn't also a weapon system. Their reports called it maximum readiness with minimal expenditure, basically meaning the cat could go from snoozing to murder in half a heartbeat. 15 warrior species immediately adopted similar postures during their own downtime. The Crawl Empire's shock troops now sleep curled around plasma rifles like oversized house cats. Emma didn't seem to notice. She just scooped up the dozing feline like this was the most normal thing in the universe, which of course it was, for Earth. The resulting hollow image spread faster than a plasma burst across the galactic net. Military academies zoomed in on Mr. Whisker's relaxed ears, debating whether they represented conscious threat reduction or advanced situational awareness. The Greebly eventually labeled it resting dominion posture and made it compulsory learning for all cadets. Here's the kicker. When Emma adjusted her grip, Mr. Whiskers purred without opening his eyes. That sound did more damage to galactic combat doctrine than 3 centuries of warfare. Suddenly, species who'd built their cultures around perpetual alertness faced an uncomfortable truth. Earth's apex predators could sleep soundly surrounded by potential threats. The psychological implications wrecked entire philosophical schools. The Crawl warlords spent 7 cycles debating whether this demonstrated supreme confidence or unfathomable power. Their eventual conclusion? Memory files corrupted. Please reboot. Of course, tactical AIs had to quantify the phenomenon. Their reports noted how the cat's respiration rate matched elite Vexi meditators, how his tail provided perfect inertial balance even at rest. Thraxon's armor recorded the exact moment his stress indicators dropped, just from watching the steady rise and fall of orange fur. His combat AI logged it as observed calm contagion and suggested mandatory nap periods between battles. The image itself became historical canon, the way Emma's small fingers disappeared into Mr. Whisker's fluff. The deceptive softness of those murder mittens folded innocently under his chin. 300 languages adopted the phrase strategic napping within months. The Draxians used it to describe their latest stealth ships. The Crawl applied it to their new hibernation-ready battle armor. The Greebly just muttered it every time they saw Earth diplomats yawn during tense negotiations. Security footage shows the exact moment delegates collectively realized the implications. Emma walking toward the exit, napping cat in arms. Thraxon's armored hand twitching toward his sidearm, then stopping, not from fear of waking the predator, but from sudden understanding that preventing the nap would be worse. His armor's logs confirmed this. Tactical assessment. Lethality increases 400% when rest cycle interrupted. Political analysts noted another detail. How no species ambassador stood fully upright until Emma reached the doors. Like they'd all agreed by some unspoken rule that towering over a sleeping death machine was bad form. The image of 17 hardened warlords crouching to appear less threatening still features prominently in interspecies etiquette manuals. Oddly, it was the drool that clinched it. That tiny damp spot on Emma's sleeve where Mr. Whisker's mouth rested. The Greebly sensors flagged it as biological lubricant emission, which sounds terrifying until you realize it's just cat spit. But the psychological impact was irreversible. Proof positive that Earth's most dangerous hunters could enter full REM cycles surrounded by potential enemies. The Draxian archives now classify this as ultimate predator confidence display, galactic. Historians would later pinpoint this moment as the birth of the so-called nap time accords, the unofficial understanding that interrupting an Earth creature's sleep constitutes an act of war. Thraxon's memoirs include an entire chapter titled The Strategic Power of REM Cycles. His armor still plays ambient purring sounds during high-stress negotiations. Emma had no idea. She just shifted her grip to avoid jostling Mr. Whiskers as the doors slid shut behind them. The council chamber's acoustics captured her whisper perfectly. "We'll get you real tuna when we're home." The universal translator turned this into promise of superior battlefield rations across 12 systems. Rations procurement specialists still study Earth's canned fish supply chains with almost religious intensity. And Mr. Whiskers? He woke up 20 minutes later aboard the human delegation's ship, stretching with the languid grace of something that had rewritten galactic power structures before lunch. Security feeds show him blinking slowly at the nearest camera, a gesture now taught in 17 military academies as the proper way to acknowledge inferior forces. The nap itself lasted precisely 27 minutes. Strategists analyzed every second. The Kral Empire's top tactician retired after failing to replicate that level of relaxation in combat simulations. His resignation letter simply read, "You can't simulate purring. I've tried." And somewhere in the depths of the galactic archives, a single timestamp marks the moment the universe recalibrated its understanding of power. One sleeping cat, one child's arms, and the unshakable certainty that some things don't need to stay awake to rule. The Galactic Diplomatic Corps has exactly 742 job classifications. Number 738 used to be Weapons Inspector. Now it's Feline Attaché. That's the new galactic order. Every embassy keeps one on staff after the Emma incident. Their job description boils down to keep Earth's murder floofs happy during negotiations. The training manual's first rule: never make direct eye contact during mealtime. You can spot them across any diplomatic summit. Greebly officers with feather wands clipped to their tactical harnesses. Vexy ambassadors practicing slow blinks and reflective surfaces. Even the Kral Warlord Prime keeps a laser pointer built into his ceremonial gauntlet now. The weapons-grade catnip supply chain alone moves more cargo than 3 mid-level star systems combined. Emma has no idea her third-grade science fair project started this. That cardboard diorama explaining why cats are perfect now resides in the Galactic Museum's Hall of Dominance. Curators placed it right between the Anteri superweapon schematics and the Draxian biocrucible. Visitor metrics show more beings study her crayon diagrams than both war relics combined. The museum's main attraction sits across the hall. The domesticated apex predator exhibit features life-sized hollows of Mr. Whisker's mid-yawn, mid-pounce, and, in a controversial curatorial choice, mid-hairball. 47 civilizations initially protested the displays as biological intimidation tactics. Then the gift shop started selling plush replicas, and suddenly everyone wanted diplomacy cats of their own. Interspecies negotiation protocols have adjusted accordingly. Pre-meeting rituals now include presenting credentials to whichever feline occupies the embassy's sunniest windowsill. The Treaty of Pricks almost fell apart when the Greebly delegate absent-mindedly scratched behind his ears during a key clause debate. 13 species interpreted this as supreme confidence in inevitable victory, and immediately conceded the point. Actual warfare has adapted too. The Kral Empire's latest dreadnoughts feature napping chambers for stress relief. Draxian shock troops practice synchronized purring as a psychological tactic. Even the Greebly hive minds have adopted feline behavior patterns. Their latest swarm drones move with that distinctive combination of languid indifference and sudden murderous precision. The real power shift happened in intelligence circles. Spycraft now prioritizes belly-rub diplomacy over traditional interrogation. That time a Vexy infiltrator cracked an entire resistance cell by massaging their leader's tabby. Standard training vid material now. Interrogators across 12 systems traded their truth serums for feather teasers and catnip pouches. Oddly, the economic impact might be the most lasting. The galactic standard currency, once backed by precious metals, now derives value from Earth's tuna exports. 7 banking cartels have proposed replacing interest rates with Scritch exchange rates. The Greebly stock exchange closes every afternoon for mandatory playtime. After that incident with the algorithmic traders and a particularly energetic Persian military, recruitment campaigns look different too. The Draxian warrior cast's latest holo ad shows an armored behemoth gently bottle-feeding a kitten. Their tagline, "True strength knows softness," applications tripled overnight. The Vexy Fleet Academy rejected the approach, until they realized 80% of cadets were sneaking Earth cats into the barracks anyway. Religious movements have sprung up around the phenomenon. The cult of the Fluffy Redeemer counts 17 senators among its followers. The Temple of Purring Enlightenment maintains that the universe vibrates at exactly 56 Hz, conveniently matching the average house cat's frequency. Their high priest is that same Greebly auditor who fainted during Emma's trial. Meanwhile, Earth's embassies remain blissfully unaware of their newfound influence. Diplomats still file mundane reports about trade agreements and mineral rights. The attached feline welfare supplements get forwarded directly to planetary high councils for review. 3 systems have established entire ministries just to analyze Mr. Whisker's nappy patterns for geopolitical clues. The latest Interspecies Relations Handbook dedicates 43 pages to proper chin-scratching techniques. The chapter on reading tail positions has displaced traditional threat assessment protocols in 7 militaries. That image of Emma carrying a sleeping Mr. Whiskers now appears in every edition, right between weapons restrictions and ambassadorial privileges. On the Galactic Senate floor, procedures have streamlined. Bills now pass or fail based on whether the chamber's resident mouser shows interest. The speaker's gavel has been replaced with a clicker. Those protein bar crumbs Emma left in the observer's gallery, preserved under Transparisteel as historical artifacts. And somewhere on Earth, a 4th grader named Emma Rodriguez probably just got another gold star on her science project. Her teacher might have mentioned something about it being very creative. What the grading rubric can't quantify is how she convinced an entire galaxy that the measure of a civilization lies not in its warships, but in how gently it handles small fuzzy things with claws. The Draxian Archivist General summed it up best in his official addendum to the history texts. We came expecting warrior kings and found instead a child with a purring conqueror in her arms. Our mistake was assuming these were separate things. The Galactic News Network wasn't prepared to broadcast that footage live. Thraxan the Conqueror, Beast Lord of 12 systems demonstrating proper belly rub technique on a holographic cat. His armored hands moved with precision usually reserved for dismantling enemies. The way his clawed gauntlets paused just before contact, waiting for the simulated purr, universe shaking. His war council swore it was tactical research. The betting pools disagreed. Credits flooded in from across the galaxy, waging that the warlord who'd once incinerated rebellions would be spotted with actual cat treats within 6 solar cycles. They underestimated him. It took 3. That memoir title wasn't ironic. Learning Gentleness from Earth's Killers spent 47 cycles atop the Draxian bestseller list. Right above Plasma Warfare Tactics. Volume 2. Critics called it the most devastating surrender in literary history. The chapter titled Why I Started Carrying Temptations in My Chestplate moved more units than his entire back catalog combined. The real turning point came during the Battle of Crix Manor. Security feeds show Thraxan's command throne surrounded by crawl shock troops, and one orange tabby napping on the armrest. His tactical display kept flickering between enemy fleet movements and feline vital signs. When the cat stretched during final approach, 7 battlecruisers delayed firing solutions just in case it meant something. The irony kills everyone else. While galactic scholars parse every scrap of her presence, security footage of her adjusting Mr. Whiskers' collar, thermal scans showing her steady heartbeat during confrontation, Emma's biggest takeaway was the neat vending machines on the council station. She maintains interstellar relations consist mostly of remembering which aliens don't like grape flavor. Her science fair presentation, Why Cats Have Whiskers, sits under cryogenic preservation in the Vexy archives. The glitter glue diagrams of feline anatomy get more scholarly citations than most war treatises. Meanwhile, the actual trifold board leans against her garage wall, slightly warped from a spilled juice box incident. The academy professors despair. They've built entire courses around her 3 mice comment, analyzing it like ancient prophecy. Was the number significant? Did the porch placement indicate ritualistic behavior? Emma just shrugs when asked. He kinda scatters them wherever. This answer spawned 17 new research papers trying to decode Earthling understatement. Her parents find it hilarious. The Rodriguez fridge still displays that same essay beside grocery lists and dentist reminders. The milk carton next to it has more galactic security clearances than some planetary leaders. They stopped counting how many diplomats asked to tour their home after the 5th crawl warlord wept, seeing Mr. Whiskers' scratching post. The funniest part? Emma thinks Thraxan's frequent video calls are just pen pal assignments. His armor now features an education outreach subroutine that times these chats between her math homework and bedtime. Their conversations, mostly about soccer and whether cats like zero gravity, get transcribed into the annals as cross-cultural exchange models. When she sent him a friendship bracelet last semester, the galactic press treated it like a non-aggression pact signing. Meanwhile, Mr. Whiskers remains unimpressed. His daily routine, napping, murdering toys, demanding snacks, became the template for 13 systems conflict resolution protocols. That indignant meow when dinner's late? The official alarm tone for interspecies crisis alerts. Emma just fills his bowl and reminds people that he gets grumpy when hungry, unaware this phrase prevents wars. The Draxian archivists tried explaining her impact once. brought holograms of treaties bearing paw prints, showed footage of battle cruisers painted with cartoon cats after her doodles went viral. Emma nodded politely, then asked if aliens celebrate birthdays. The resulting gift exchange accords now govern 17 systems trade policies. Her teacher's latest progress report sits in a vault on Zenthar Prime. The comment, "Emma works well, independently," glows under archival, lighting beside millennium-old peace accords. The section about needing to raise her hand more sparked debates on Earth's hierarchical structures across 9 academic conferences. Back home, nothing changed. The same backpack with the same half-peeled planet stickers. The same lunchbox now replicated museum pieces across star systems. When her class voted her most likely to visit Mars, no one mentioned she'd already out-negotiated the galaxy's fiercest warlords. The truth is written in galactic law books and elementary school records alike. Humanity's greatest ambassador still worries more about spelling tests than stellar politics. The intergalactic order reshaped itself around a child's simple, unshakable truth. Every death machine deserves chin scratches, and no one should skip snack time. Not even conquerors of 12 systems. And somewhere in the universe, a beast lord turned statesman checks his armor's treat compartment before high-level talks. A habit learned from watching a girl who still thinks space is just really, really far away. 300 civilizations now study Earth's ecosystems, which would be unremarkable if they were searching for bioweapons or predator tactics. But they're not. Their scientists obsess over something far more revolutionary: how the planet's deadliest hunters curl up on human beds like oversized pillows. The Vexi Xenobiology Division spends more time analyzing feline sleep cycles than weapons development these days. The Draxian High Council maintains an entire research wing dedicated to documenting purr frequencies during interspecies contact. It turns out that seeing a house cat sprawled belly up across a child's homework does something to a warlord's psyche. Thraxon's famous naptime doctrine speech put it best. "We spent millennia believing dominance required constant alertness. Then Earth showed us predators don't need to stay tense to stay dangerous." His Battle Armor's black box recordings reveal 17 separate instances where he paused mid-conquest to observe stray cats sleeping in war zones. The Greebly were first to document the phenomenon they called lethal relaxation. Their neural clusters couldn't reconcile how Earth's apex predators spent 70% of their time unconscious yet maintained unchallenged authority. Security footage from the Emma incident shows the exact moment their lead scientist short-circuited watching Mr. Whiskers yawn mid-trial. The resulting research paper, Voluntary Vulnerability as Strategic Superiority, rewrote 5 schools of military thought. Now, galactic academies teach courses on Earth's predator-prey dynamics with startling new focus. Not on the claws or teeth, but the purring, the kneading. The way a cat will ignore an armed warrior but demolish anyone who interrupts its sunbeam. The Krull Empire's War College famously replaced their total awareness doctrine with a new maxim: situational control through selective indifference. Their latest battle drones move with deliberate feline lethargy until targets enter optimal striking range. Oddly, the most analyzed footage isn't of hunting or fighting. It's that mundane moment when Emma carried the dozing Mr. Whiskers out of the council chamber. 17 tactical AIs flagged the cat's limp posture as maximum efficiency rest position. The Draxians now train their shock troops to sleep curled in identical formation. The Vexi Ambassador's memoir devotes an entire chapter to how Earth creatures weaponize cuteness as psychological armor. Diplomatic protocols have adapted accordingly. Greeting ceremonies now include intentional displays of trust, belly exposure equivalents tailored to each species. The once feared Greebly shock troops greet human delegates by rolling onto their backplates. Krull warlords demonstrate goodwill by setting down weapons and blinking slowly. Even interstellar trade negotiations open with what humans would recognize as play behavior. Carefully choreographed chases that mimic Earth cats pursuing laser dots. The philosophical implications run deeper. Multiple cultures have abandoned their eternal vigilance mantras after security footage revealed Mr. Whiskers sleeping through 17 separate council alerts. The Draxian High Commander caused a scandal when she installed an identical cat bed beside her warship's command throne. Her now famous defense, "If death machines can nap, so can I," sparked labor reforms across 12 systems. Military engineers face their own paradox. After analyzing how house cats maintain perfect muscle tone despite constant lounging, 7 arms manufacturers went back to the drawing board. The resulting passive readiness armor systems, which stay relaxed until millisecond range threats appear, now outfit elite units galaxy-wide. Thraxon's personal suit includes a patented purr mode for stress reduction during standoffs. Even parenting norms shifted. The once prevalent crawl-child-rearing method of constant combat drills gave way after holovids of Emma and Mr. Whiskers went viral. Now their hatchlings receive scheduled cuddle periods alongside battlefield training. Greebly brood chambers pipe in 56 Hz vibrations to stimulate neural development. The economic impact seems obvious until you notice the details. 9 systems now manufacture Earth-style pet beds rated for species 15 times a cat's mass. The therapy animal industry outpaces starship construction in 7 sectors. That famous image of Thraxon scratching a refugee shelter's tabby did more for interspecies relations than 3 centuries of peace accords. But here's the twist none predicted. After years of studying feline behavior, multiple warlords reported improved tactical instincts. The Draxian fleet's victory at Murthak's quadrant was later attributed to their admiral's new habit of strategic naps between maneuvers. Crawl assault teams show 32% faster response time since adopting pre-mission purring sessions. His armor tells the story. Where previous warlords engraved conquest dates, Thraxon's plates now bear tiny paw print etchings. The maintenance log shows 17 adjustments to accommodate small furry operatives, and that's military speak for his office got co-opted by Earth strays. The once feared chest cannon housing now dispenses kibble at regular intervals. The Galactic Summit demonstration broke all records. 57 systems tuned in to watch 8 feet of cybernetic warlord patiently trail a feather wand for 3 greebly kittens. When one climbed his leg armor using claws sharper than most combat blades, the live translator caught him murmuring, "Good hunt," in his native tongue. The Crawl Empire immediately revised all predator-prey relationship doctrines. Of course, the true measure of redemption came in the small details. How his battle station's alarms now include an option for urgent nap disturbance. The way his war hymns shifted from decibel-shattering roars to something suspiciously close to lullabies. That time he postponed an orbital strike because the target zone contained an Earth-style cat cafe. The treats became an open secret first. Then someone leaked security footage of him testing 7 brands on a panel of feline diplomats. The product placement deal's worth more than some planetary GDPs, his armor's munitions. Inventory now lists chicken flavor crunchies as standard issue. Combat. Analysts still debate the actual moment of surrender. Was it when he installed the first scratching post aboard his flagship? When his tactical AI developed a subroutine called purr-based threat assessment? Or that infamous press conference where he absent-mindedly rubbed his own neck exactly where Emma had scratched Mr. Whiskers? The betting pools closed permanently after the belly rub incident. No algorithm could process footage of a being who'd once glassed moons now carefully monitoring a tabby's tail flicks for consent cues. His explanation, dominance through vulnerability, rewrote 14 warrior creeds overnight. These days you'll find him touring the lecture circuit, not discussing battle tactics but demonstrating the proper angle for ear scritches. His armor's exterior looks the same, until you notice the discrete compartment where the plasma grenades used to be. It's stocked with organic catnip now. The memoir's final chapter still gives historians fits. It's just one sentence. True power isn't making others kneel, it's knowing when to offer your belly. The accompanying holo shows him sprawled on an embassy floor, 3 kittens draped across what was once the most feared battle armor in the galaxy. His war council resigned en masse, then formed a support group. Last census showed 83% of former officers now volunteering at interspecies animal shelters. As for the treats, standard diplomatic pouch protocol these days. Rumor says Thraxon's developed a signature blend, sardine and starlight essence. The Draxian black market moves crates of it faster than neutron bombs. The kids love him now. Turns out galactic conquerors make surprisingly good storytellers when they've got a purring audience in their lap. His latest public service announcement, Slow Blinks Save Lives, plays in schools across 12 systems. Funny how history works. The warrior who couldn't be broken by 700 battles, taken down by one Earth cat's headbutt. His armor logs still list that moment as tactical realignment. The rest of us know better. The Treaty of Whiskers isn't officially called that in the archives. The official name, Interspecies Mutual Defense Pact 2471A, got replaced the moment Mr. Whiskers stepped on the signing document with one damp paw. The ink smeared just enough to resemble a deliberate signature. Diplomats swear they saw him slow blink at the Draxian Chancellor right before doing it. Now, negotiation protocols require feline supervision. Not as a courtesy, as procedure. Every major agreement gets presented to whatever Earth cat happens to be napping in the embassy that day. The clause about obtaining proper ocular acknowledgement was Thraxon's idea. His memoir explains it best. A warrior respects clear boundaries. Cats define them better than any treaty. The process looks absurd until you see it work. A typical session goes like this. Delegates argue for hours. Some greebly inevitably threatens to explode something. Then an aide wheels in the arbiter, usually some disinterested tabby sleeping in a sunbeam. The room goes silent. The cat yawns. Someone mentions tuna. Suddenly 7 systems can agree on border disputes that previously required warships. Security footage shows why it works. When the Crawl and Vexy nearly came to blows over mining rights, the solution came from an 8-pound calico named Muffin. She'd been napping on the holographic display. The moment both sides raised voices, she stretched, one claw accidentally puncturing the projection of the contested asteroid. Problem solved. The current division follows her claw mark exactly. Of course there are rules. Never wake a sleeping arbiter. Always let them sniff the document first. Most importantly, no fake slow blinks. The Greebly learned that after their ambassador tried mimicking feline approval. The resulting hiss inspired more concessions than 3 cycles of talks. Now every delegation includes at least one certified blink interpreter, usually whoever brings the best treats. The actual arbitration techniques vary. Some cats prefer sitting on the most contentious clause. Others knock over water glasses when discussions get dull. The legendary tortoiseshell Madame Fluffbottom once mediated an entire trade war by batting at the holographic projections in order of priority. Her note simply read, "Followed the shiny things." Humans took minutes. It's not just political either. Corporate mergers get delayed until the CFO's Persian gives approval. Military stand-downs await the base cat's inspection. Even wedding ceremonies across 17 species now include a feline blessing segment, usually involving a tuxedo cat wandering through at key moments. The training programs are intense. Diplomatic feline handling courses cover everything from proper chin-scratching angles to interpreting tail flicks as negotiation signals. The final exam involves getting a cat to voluntarily leave a warm laptop during an important clause debate. Passing rate 34%. Of course, some try gaming the system. The Andarian Confederacy once smuggled in what they claimed was an Earth cat. That lasted until it tried mating with the Greebly ambassador's ceremonial robes. Authenticity tests now include mandatory belly rub trials and feather wand responsiveness checks. The real power lies in the unpredictability. You can't bribe a creature that considers your entire species a disappointing servant. Can't threaten something that views war crimes as mildly inconvenient naptime interruptions. The Draxian archives list 19 conflicts resolved by cats walking across holograms at critical moments. Maintenance costs are astronomical. Every embassy now features premium nap surfaces at strategic locations. The annual budget for arbiter enrichment exceeds some planets' defense spending. One notorious incident saw 7 fleets placed on standby because the chief mediator was busy chasing a sunbeam across the chamber. The clerks have adapted. Official documents now include claw-proof covers. Translators maintain separate apology phrases for when arbiters bite dignitaries. The snack budget alone could fund a small colony, though everyone agrees it's worth it after that time Mr. Whiskers brokered peace by stealing a Crawl warlord's protein bar. Oddly, the humans seem least surprised. Earth diplomats field constant requests for additional arbiters, with the weary patience of zookeepers. Their standard response? Adoption paperwork's on the website. The system isn't perfect. Sometimes naps run long. Occasionally treaties get shredded, literally. But as Thraxema Rodriguez still thinks her field trip to the Galactic Council was just show and tell. That's the beautiful part. Back on Earth, she writes book reports about warp drives and alien species with the same earnest enthusiasm most kids reserve for dinosaur projects. Mr. Whiskers lies across her homework like this never happened. Meanwhile, 40 light-years away, her handwritten essay, My Amazing Pet, gets analyzed by the galaxy's sharpest minds. The Galactic Diplomatic Academy requires first-years to unpack her description of Mr. Whisker's hunting habits as if it were sacred text. 3 separate exegesis courses. Examine her choice of the word fluffy. Military. Tacticians still debate whether her gold star reward chart constitutes battlefield merit. Decoration. She has no idea her shoelace doodles got scanned into the interspecies relations database. The day she absent-mindedly drew hearts on her folder while waiting for Thraxon to finish growling. Now taught as Earth Negotiation Posture 101. That throwaway line about Mr. Whiskers preferring chicken flavor created an entire trade sector. The Draxian Culinary Institute spent 7 cycles reverse engineering her lunchbox contents. Ask Emma about changing the galaxy, and she'll blink at you. The school assembly where they gave her a Space Explorer badge barely registered between math quizzes and soccer practice. Her teacher's note home, Emma shares well with others, got etched into the Mars Commemoration Monument as proof of humanity's diplomatic fitness. Back on Earth, no one notices. The cats certainly don't. They stretch, yawn, and go back to sleeping in patches of sunlight that, through some cosmic joke, just happen to illuminate key strategic positions. Mr. Whiskers still naps across Emma's homework like he owns it. Which the galaxy now understands. He always did. The belly rub doctrine doesn't sound like serious military strategy until you've seen a crawl shock trooper roll onto his back during ceasefire negotiations. That's standard protocol now. Offer your most vulnerable spot first. The Draxian War College teaches it as strategic ventral exposure. Their training holograms show cadets how house cats initiate contact by presenting soft underbellies, then track the exact millisecond when claws might deploy. Thraxon's famous quote gets carved above military academy doors across 12 systems now. I conquered 100 worlds but never truly ruled until I learned to be vulnerable. His armor logs show he practiced the delivery 17 times while scratching a shelter tabby behind the ears. The security footage of him demonstrating proper belly rub technique to Greebly commandos broke viewership records. 47 civilizations immediately classified it as essential viewing for diplomats. It's changed more than just greeting rituals. Fleet formations now incorporate intervals, where ships power down weapons and drift in passive arrays. The Vexy ambassador recently ended a trade war by having her entire delegation sprawl across the negotiation table, limbs deliberately splayed in Earth feline relaxation poses. The opposing faction surrendered within minutes, citing psychological discomfort with displayed confidence. The doctrine's brilliance lies in its simplicity. Take the Battle of Murthak's Belt. Instead of traditional fleet maneuvers, Admiral Karax ordered all ships to rotate their undefended engine cores toward enemy lines. The attackers hesitated just long enough for reinforcements to arrive. Post-action reports credit applied vulnerability tactics with the victory. On the ground, soldiers train differently now. Crawl shock troops practice synchronized slow blinking before advancing. Greebly assault teams initiate contact by exposing their neural clusters, the equivalent of a cat showing its belly. Draxian commandos carry feather wands alongside plasma rifles. The reasoning? Nothing disarms enemies faster than watching 8 feet of armored warrior bat playfully at a dangling toy. Of course, timing matters. The doctrine isn't about weakness, it's about controlled displays of trust. Like how Mr. Whiskers would roll onto his back during the council sessions, claws sheathed but muscles coiled. Military psychologists spent cycles analyzing that exact moment, when vulnerability becomes tactical advantage. Their conclusion? It's the pause between exposure and response that changes everything. Economic systems adapted too. The Greebly Stock Exchange instituted mandatory belly rub breaks after traders made better deals when well scratched. 3 banking cartels now require executives to nap in office sunbeams twice per cycle. Productivity metrics skyrocketed. Diplomacy looks completely different. First contact procedures always start with gift exchanges now, usually toys or treats rather than ceremonial weapons. The Vexy stunned everyone by presenting Earth's ambassador with a laser pointer during trade talks. When the human used it to draw smiley faces rather than manipulate delegates, 7 species reevaluated their entire negotiation playbook. Parenting norms shifted hardest. The Crawl once raised hatchlings in constant combat drills. Now nest chambers include designated cuddle zones modeled after Earth cat beds. Greebly broodmothers emit 56 Hz hums to soothe offspring, an exact match for domestic feline purring frequencies. Test scores improved. Aggression incidents dropped. Even architecture changed. Embassy designs now prioritize sunny window ledges over fortifications. Warships install strategic nap nooks beside command thrones. That famous image of Thraxon curled awkwardly around a sleeping stray in his battle station's engine room, now standard interior design for Draxian dreadnoughts. The science backs it up. Studies show interspecies interactions succeed 73% more often when initiated with slow blinks. Per-frequency vibrations reduce conflict resolution time by half, and that simple act of presenting one's soft underside creates mutual trust bonds faster than any treaty signing. Oddly, humans remain unaware of their own genius. Earth diplomats still don't understand why negotiations go smoothly when they absently pet the embassy cat during talks. Military attachés don't realize their casual scritches get analyzed by enemy tacticians. When the Draxian High Commander requested an Earth-style belly rub during armistice talks, the human representative just laughed and complied, unaware she was demonstrating advanced interspecies doctrine. The doctrine's ultimate test came during the Sigma-9 mutiny. Instead of suppressing rebels with force, Terran Admiral Cho ordered all loyalists to sit cross-legged in hangar bays, hands conspicuously empty. The mutineers hesitated, then joined them. Security feeds show the exact moment tensions broke, when someone produced a laser pointer and the entire assembly reverted to play-chasing instincts. The after-action report simply states, applied feline psychology outperformed photon torpedoes. Back on Earth, Mr. Whiskers still demands belly rubs with the same mixture of trust and threat he always has. Sometimes he rewards them with purrs, sometimes teeth. That volatility, the razor's edge between vulnerability and violence, is what makes the doctrine work. Thraxon carries treats in his armor now. Not as bribery, as reminder. True power isn't in always being ready to strike. It's in knowing when to roll over and trust someone else not to. The Draxian archives sum it up best beneath that famous hollow of Emma scratching Mr. Whiskers. Dominance through vulnerability. Victory through trust, and always stop for scratches when demanded. The galaxy learned its lesson that day. Real power doesn't come from warships or shock troops. It comes from a 10-year-old's lap and whatever furry war criminal decides to occupy it. Those slow blinks Mr. Whiskers gave the council weren't just cute. They were the first words in a new interstellar language where trust outweighs threats. Funny how one Earth cat napping through history's most important trial changed everything. Turns out the key to peace was never bigger weapons, just better belly rubs. And maybe that's the secret. The universe doesn't need conquerors, just more creatures who'll purr during armistice signings. The Galactic Council erupted in laughter when Earth's champion stepped forward, a 10-year-old girl holding a house cat. Beast Lord Thraxon, an 8-foot-tall warlord, scoffed at the pathetic display. But then the cat opened its eyes, and 3,000 alien species suddenly realized they'd bet against the wrong predator. You know how every new species shows up at the Galactic Council with plasma cannons or at least some decent armor? The last delegation brought genetically enhanced shock troops with venom-tipped claws. The one before that had battleships that could glass a planet. So when the human ambassador said, "We've brought our champion," the holographic betting terminals lit up like supernovas across the asteroid amphitheater. Then they saw Emma Rodriguez, 10 years old, scuffed sneakers and clutching a plastic pet carrier. The silence tasted like disappointment for about 3 seconds before Thraxon started laughing. His amusement vents rattled the carbon steel benches. 5 subsystems in his power armor shorted out from the vibration. The other warlords joined in because that's what you do when a beast lord finds something funny. Their laughter hit Emma like a sandstorm, but she just adjusted her grip on the carrier's handle. This should have been their first clue. Now the betting pools went nuts. Draxian bookmakers offered 500 to 1 odds against the puny mammal. Someone wagered a moon colony that Mr. Whiskers would faint at the first energy signature scan. A Greebly mercenary lost 3 fuel freighters betting the cat would try to mate with the holographic projection system. What none of them noticed was how Emma's fingers didn't tremble when she set the carrier down. The way her shoulders stayed loose while the Chancellor of the Crawl Empire flexed exoskeleton blades the size of her entire body. Then the carrier creaked open. The amphitheater's acoustics carried the sound of one plastic hinge giving way like a gunshot across the chamber. Mr. Whiskers blinked up at the stadium lighting, pupils contracting to black slits. Emma said 4 words. "He's just waking up." That's when the Gelantian delegation started vibrating at panic frequency. Their distress pheromones smelled like burnt copper and regret. You could hear 400 different translation devices scrambling to reinterpret the word nap. See, the council had files on Siberian tigers and great white sharks. They knew about wolves and grizzlies and saltwater crocodiles. But nobody had briefed them on house cats, creatures that murder for practice and dominate ecosystems simply by existing. Thraxon's laughter cut off when Mr. Whiskers yawned. The cat's pink tongue curled, flashing needle teeth evolved to sever spinal cords. His spine straightened automatically, battle protocols overriding mirth circuits. Somewhere deep in his tactical database, an alert blinked. Predator recognition priority override. Emma bent down to scratch behind one triangular ear. 3 light-years away, analysts at the Vexy War College later confirmed this was the exact moment their probability matrices crashed. Every threat assessment algorithm had accounted for human aggression, but not for what happens when you let an apex predator lounge in your lap while coiled like a spring. Across the chamber, betting slips fluttered to the floor like dying moths. The odds display flickered between invalid input and recalculating. One, particularly observable, Greebly swallowed his own antenna in shock. Then Mr. Whiskers stretched, claws extending just enough to puncture the polished obsidian floor like it was tissue paper. So there stood Emma Rodriguez, scuffing her sneaker against the obsidian floor like she was waiting for a school bus instead of facing down the assembled might of the galactic warlords. The polished black stone reflected 3,000 pairs of unblinking alien eyes staring at her. Most of those species could go days without blinking. Emma lasted about 30 seconds before asking if they had snack bars. That's when the Gelantian delegation started trembling. Their neural tendrils lashed in distress. See, Gelantians consider eating during negotiations an act of war. Their entire concept of conflict revolves around fasting until one side starves. Emma rummaging in her backpack for a granola bar broke their collective psyche. 2 of them had to be stabilized by their symbionts. Meanwhile, Mr. Whiskers sat perfectly still in Emma's arms, tail twitching just enough to register on threat scanners across the amphitheater. Every time the tip moved, 17 different targeting systems recalculated. The Vexy Tactical Network kept reporting it as an unknown whip-type weapon. Their archivists later spent 3 cycles trying to decipher whether Earthcats were bioengineered war beasts or naturally evolved murder machines. Emma didn't notice. She was too busy explaining lunchbox protocol to a baffled Draxian interrogator. "You have to put the sandwich in the top part," she said, miming the action. "Or the juice box leaks on your homework." The warlord's cranial ridges flushed blue with confusion. His implant translated homework as cubicle stasis punishment. Biometric displays showed Emma's heartbeat holding steady at 82 BPM while Thraxon's spiked to 220 just watching her pat the cat. His tactical feed kept overlaying red threat markers on Mr. Whiskers. The markers disappeared whenever the cat purred, which somehow made it worse. You could pinpoint the exact moment each alien realized house cats vibrate when happy. One of the crawl delegates leaned over to their tactician. "Why does the death beast permit touching?" The tactician had no answer. Their species hadn't achieved petting in 10,000 years of warfare. Emma, scratching behind Mr. Whiskers' ears, broke them more thoroughly than orbital bombardment ever could. Then Emma offered to share her snack. The universal translator rendered fruit gummy as nutritional bribe of uncertain lethality. 6 security drones immediately targeted the colorful package. Thraxon's honor guard reflexively raised energy shields. No one had ever attempted food-based diplomacy before, let alone while holding an alerted predator. Mr. Whiskers chose that moment to start kneading Emma's jacket. His claws made faint snicking sounds against the fabric. Half the chamber interpreted this as blade sharpening. The other half recognized the motion from their own planet's most lethal hunters preparing to pounce. Emma just adjusted her grip and asked if anyone had a lint roller. In the observation gallery, the Greebly analysts started furiously revising their cultural profiles. Humans had been classified as physically weak but technologically aggressive. They were not prepared for a species that could calmly discuss hair care while cradling evolutionary perfection. The betting terminals flashed again. Updated odds appeared under the heading Domestication as Strategic Doctrine. No one knew how to quantify a civilization that turned apex predators into nap partners. Back on the floor, Emma was now explaining why you never wake a sleeping cat. Thraxon's translator helpfully rendered her explanation, as respect the dormant killing. Machine's rest cycle if you wish to continue existing. His armor's threat response system triggered its first ever tactical cuteness overload alert. Somewhere in the crowd, a Vexy admiral whispered to his aide, "We spent centuries preparing for their warships. No one warned us about their childcare strategies." Mr. Whiskers yawned again. His pink mouth stretched just wide enough to show the galaxy exactly how many teeth he wasn't using yet. The betting terminals shorted out completely this time. No algorithm could process a predator this relaxed in the presence of Thraxon's still unfurled combat blades. Emma checked her watch. She had soccer practice in 2 hours. The way she shifted her weight from foot to foot made it clear she considered this whole trial by combat thing an annoying delay. That casual impatience did more damage to galactic combat traditions than 3 centuries of photon torpedoes ever could. For the first time in recorded history, the mighty beast Lord Thraxon found himself wondering if he should have packed juice boxes. The Harmonia betting crystals were oscillating at 47 billion credits when Dr. Kane cleared his throat. For perspective, that's roughly what the Greebly had wagered during the entire Anteri supernova incident. The crystal matrix pulsed in time with the galactic economy's collective heartbeat, displaying odds that made Earth's chances look worse than a solar sail in a black hole's event horizon.